Okay, so we're stepping through this. Just come back from count time, so I'm not sure where we left off. We're stepping through this for loop, and let's see. We have a line. We have in this variable in this box, right, that holds a string. We have 1 period honey bun. So how do we get the 1 period honey bun? We're adding 1 to the loop count. Starts at 0. And whatever it is, whatever number's in there, we just add 1 to it. Assign it to this variable, which holds an integer. Here we convert that, whatever that is. In this case, it's 1. We convert it to a string, which is plain text. So we can only concatenate strings with other strings. So we're printing this to the screen, or to the or you may assign it to a text property on a label or something like that. So it has to be a string, so we have to convert it to a string. We concatenate it with this string, right? It's just period space, and then store list. That's our list, right? And this, we're using the indexing operation with these square brackets, and we're putting, in this case, 0. That we're putting the index number in there. A loop count right now holds a 0, right? So this is going to be the 0, the 0th index position. And so this is 0, right? This, the numbers start at 0, right? All right, so the index numbers start at 0. I can't stress that enough because it's confusing at first. You would think 1, 2, 3, but it's 0, 1, 2. So the index number 0 is first item here. So scroll down. So initially this has a value of 0, so it's accessing that first item, the item in that 0th index position, right? So that's how we get 1 period honey bun, and it's just going to keep, we're going to keep looping. Now it's adding 1 to the loop count, right? 0 now, and it just added 1. It's checking our condition. Is 1 less than 7? Yes, it is. So that's true. So we're going to keep on. As long as that's true, we're just going to keep on looping, right? And it's just going to keep on doing the same thing. We're doing basically the same thing over and over again, right? So that's what loops are good for. Okay, so in demo 4, we're basically doing the same thing. This time we're concatenating these strings together. We're using this as a shortcut. This plus sign in this case is that we're working with strings, so it's concatenation operator. We're concatenating, we're combining strings together. Note this, let me zoom in, get the whole thing on the screen. Note the environment.newLine. That just says start a new line. Start a new line. And you could also use the escape character, which is \n. It just says start a new line. But I recommend this environment.newLine. You can use that. Just clear. But if you prefer the escape character \n, that's fine. So this concatenates this new line escape character, which just adds a new line, right? We don't want everything on one long line, so we want new lines. So we're concatenating this together. Let's look at this in the debugger. Set my breaking point. And let's go ahead and run this. And I know this has been a long video. We're almost through. Okay, so just click on that. And keep going. Okay, so now this has this value, 1 period honey bun, same as before. But we're adding this new line escape character, because we want a new line, right? So we just keep going, and it's going to keep adding 2. So this, this will start a new line here, a new line here. Whenever it prints to the screen, this will just be a new line. You won't see this \r \n. It'll just be a new line. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to click on the continue, and that just runs until it gets to the breaking point again. So just keep going, and there we go. So So we've concatenated all the way we're getting this new line is with environment.newLine, right? Otherwise it'd be one long line. So it's basically the same thing, but we're assigning it to our variable line, and then we're assigning that to the text property, this text property on the label, right? And let's go back to our form. This is the design, this is the UI side, or the GUI, graphical user interface side, and this is our code behind. So we got the design view, or the GUI, UI, what have you, and this is our code behind. So alright, so let's look at our label. If you go to properties, you can hit F4 or open the properties grid, and you see this property text, and this is the property that we're updating. We're updating it through the code. We're updating it programmatically, right? Programmatically, we're updating it through the code. We could update it here, but this is a pretty static. We can't change it. It's going to the value is going to change in our program, right? So we want to be able to change it programmatically, and this is the way we do it. And this text property is a member. It's a member of this label, and we access members through the dot, through the period, right? You can see all the members. You can start typing TE, and it'll show it. Once this is highlighted, just hit enter, and hit enter twice for some reason. So once you see it highlighted, just hit enter, and it'll pop up there. So we're assigning this variable, whatever's in there, to this text property. You can think of properties as variables. Technically, that's not true. You can think of them as variables, right, or boxes. Same idea, right? Okay, last one, I promise. We're just about through. Just hang in there. It's another couple of minutes. Okay, so we've got we're declaring a variable, two variables here. This is called length, and we're using this numeric down control, and we want the value. This is one of its properties, is value. So this is our control here, this numeric up and down, and I just dragged it, numeric up and down, just left click, drag over to the form, and so we have this control here, and the name of it, I just use the default name, numeric up and down. You can change the name if you like. So I'm just using the default name, and so numeric up and down, up down, 1 is the name of it. And the name is how we access these controls programmatically. That's how we access the controls in the code behind. We're in the code behind, all right? So the property we want is value, which is whatever selected at that time, whatever it is. And int, we need to convert it to an int, right, or cast it to an int. So we're going to assign it to this variable which holds an int. So we're going to do some casting here, right? We're going to cast this to an int, right? And then we're going to assign it to this variable called length. And this we've seen before. So, and our for loop, same kind of thing. We're just using a variable here, length variable, and this, all this, we covered that. So let's go back to this numeric up down. Okay, so I want to go to its properties. You can hit F4, or just you can just click on the tab if you like. So in the numeric properties, numeric up down, this is the control. I got the control selected, and I'm going to hit F4, and I'm going to go to its properties. The maximum I want to put in, I'm just going to put in 7 here. You can put in anything you like. I'm just going to put in 7, and so that'll be the maximum. We'll see when we run it. The maximum will be 7. It'll go up to 7. So yeah, I just clicked the wrong button again. Okay, so and we can see it goes up to 7, right? So if you set that max to 7, and it'll go up to 7. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to set it to 3. Just set this to 3, and there we go. 3 items. Okay, so I have 3 selected, and they gave me 3 items. And by the way, I chose 7 as the max number because I happen to know that I have 7 items in the list. But you could also set that property programmatically. You can, just like with the text property or the value property, you can change any of those properties in the code behind. I just did it in the properties grid. So the maximum is 7. So whatever number I select is going to give me that many items from the list. Select 7, it gives me all of them. Select 1, it just gives me 1. Select 0, it gives me 0. Select 3, it gives me 3, etc. So however many items I select, that's the number of items it's going to give me from that list, right? So let's go back to code, to the code behind. So numeric up and down, value gets that value, whatever value is selected. If I have 2 there, then it's going to be 2 in that property. If I have 5 selected, it's going to be 5 in that property, right? And let's go ahead and I'm going to set the breaking point right here and go ahead and start it. Okay, so let's put 4 in here, right? So click the button. Alright, so now that I have 4 selected, you can see there's 4 in that property, right? So, and this is actually, well, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into why we're having to cast here, because then we kind of have to get off into object oriented. So just know that we have to cast this to an int, right? We're casting this to an int type. And we're assigning it to this variable called length, which holds an int type, right? So we have to do some casting here, right? Which just, make this an integer, that's all it says. So we're making this an integer, dropping it in this box, which holds an integer, right? So now we've got 4 in here, right? We've got 4 in this box, right? And that come from here. So whatever is selected, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, that's what's going to end up in this box, right? We're going to put it in this box, this variable. So the line, of course, empty string, we know what that is. And here we're using the I again, which is just a convention. You can use anything you like. And our condition, as long as I is less than this variable, is variable length, as long as it's less than that, then the condition is true, right? And this is the same as we've seen before, same. We're assigning it to this line variable. This is going to keep executing as long as this is true. And it's going to keep concatenating this line and assigning it to this variable called line. And then once it's finished, once this condition becomes false and this for loop is over with, then it will step out of the code block and then assign whatever's in this box to this property. So let's go ahead and click start. Okay, so it went ahead and ran the for loop however many times, in this case 4. And so now we have our variable line, which holds this long string, and it assigns that to this text property. And continue again, and there we go. So now we have 4 items. So if that's not crystal clear, then go back and I strongly recommend typing this in. Can't stress that enough. Type this in, put this on pause, type it in, step through it in the debugger over and over until it's crystal clear. I can't stress that enough. Once you type it in and you see what it does for yourself, then the clearer it's going to become for you. So I know this is a very long marathon video. Kudos for hanging in there, and I'll see you in the next one.